Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. It's 2:30 on a Monday, so please tell your friends, if you're listening, to tune in and ask me questions. The number is 888-994-4995. Today I have a very special guest, Russ Johnson. We're going to be talking about, as your show is, the name of your show is? Lights in the Sky. So, in the night, which is all to do with UFOs. So I'm getting a message from people up there that are on the other side that are telling me we need to talk about this. It's a very, very important topic. So here we go. And I'm here, as you know, I need the questions for me to give the answers. It kind of gets my collective together. Right. So here we are. Any questions, call in. If you have any, it's coming out on the news a little bit about the UFOs. So I'm sure people have questions, are wondering what's happening. But I have somebody here that's able to give some answers on that, as I am too. Okay. Hi, Russ. Yep.
Mine is Lights in the Night.
Lights in the Night. Okay.
.org. Okay. Or you know, there was a base 211.com. So, but anyway, that's a website. Okay. But anyway, so thank you very much for inviting me to be on your program. Disclosure.
Yes.
Big subject. What's going on with disclosure? What's happening?
Well, from what I hear, and obviously I rely on my collective also to give me the answers, but it's very much in the forefront in the news today, and that's why I wanted to do this program with you. We're getting so many people that are actually showing, coming on the news, that many things they're seeing in the sky. I have known about this for many years, but I've only come forward over the last few years to really talk about it since we've met too, so I think it's a very important topic. But they are today, I think partly also that many people are coming forward with this because we have the iPhone. We have many things in which they're able to show on their phone what they're seeing in the sky. In fact, it's really important for us to understand what's going on. I can't make people believe this, but I think the disclosure is going to be very, very important today. And I have to stop for a moment. I just see my husband walking into the studio. Hi, Steve. Okay, we just started the show. So if you can maybe talk a little bit more about what's going on here. With the disclosure, it's important that I think we need to tell people a little bit about this.
Well, the Pentagon decided a couple of months ago that it was going to talk about disclosure. And it talked about the little Tic Tacs, and then 60 Minutes came behind them and talked about, and put it on 60 Minutes. So, but since then, a lot of people have come forward to talk about disclosure. What do you perceive this whole thing is about, if you will? You saying?
Well, I think we're coming to a point that we need to discuss this. More people need to discuss this, open up to the fact that there possibly are people that are around that are wanting to show themselves to us. Obviously, if we suddenly come out with this whole thing, there's going to be mass hysteria. But gradually, especially with the news today, they are bringing out certain things. In fact, today, I was at home and I turned on, for some reason, I never put the history station on but in the morning. But I turned it on and it was all about exactly what we're talking about today. What did they say? They were talking about how many more people are coming forward, how this has been going on since 1945 or even prior to that too. But it just wasn't in people. Well, first of all, we didn't have the internet like we have today, so we can put more of what's going on now into the internet. I think it's really important that we wake up to say that we're honestly not alone here. I understand more because I'm doing research and I listen to it and I do hear messages. But for the average person, and I'm not saying I'm not an average person, that are walking around, if they suddenly see these people coming in, they're going to be scared. So I think we have a message to tell them not to be scared. They may show themselves. They're around.
Okay.
So if you could give me a little more input into that.
No, I'm saying, what do you think will be around? How did they look? Have you seen any?
It depends. I think there are many people from many different planets that are coming in. Many of them, as you know, and I did come forward on one of my shows to say that I have been abducted many times. I feel very comfortable about talking about that now because I think it's an important message.
What did they look like?
Some of them look like us. The ones that I actually saw look very similar to what we look like. But they come in many different forms. I mean, I actually tell people to listen to Star Trek because the Federation, they will go. There is a galactic federation. I believe that this is true. But I didn't produce Star Trek, but I'm sure if anybody was able to kind of relate that some of them look different. I've done many drawings. This is some of my art of what I was drawing. I wasn't even aware of what I was drawing, but I was drawing them because they were showing themselves to me. And I feel for myself, I'm getting older. My birthday is going to be next week, and I'm no youngster anymore, that I want to come forward with this. I believe it's very important. When we met, it was very strange, no coincidences, that this is what you have been talking about for many years, Russ. So if you'd like to give a little more insight, please do so.
No, I just want to ask a few questions. You watch Gaia, you watch Cosmic Connection, so you know David Wilcox, you know Corey Good, George Norrie. What are they saying as you watch those programs?
They have opened up, as you know, for many years. They're talking about that they are amongst us.
Okay.
They have what they call on Gaia the secret space program. At one point, maybe a few years ago, I wasn't ready really, although I had written a book, to come forward with this. But the more I listen to this now, especially on Gaia, they're opening up. It's not, and it is coming through on the main news, so I'm very happy about that. But I think we really need to open up to this.
Okay, what are they saying about the space program?
That's been going on, I'm mentioning, since 1940, 45.
At least.
But we didn't come forward at all with that. There wasn't the internet, there weren't programs, there wasn't a program like I'm on right now. Gaia didn't exist. But the more that we can give this exposure, the more people will be, let's say, on the lookout. Maybe they're going to see something and say, oh my goodness, what's that? I also believe that they can cloak, what we call disguise themselves. So even if they are around us, that we're not all ready to see it, and they know that, whether they're doing it for their own purpose or to actually help us, that we won't get scared about this. But I'm here to say, please don't be scared. If you see anything in the sky, tell someone. Tell the news program. Let them come forward.
Well, we have the younger generation now, so it wasn't like, remember back, you know the story of 1938, Orson Welles.
Right.
He was doing a radio show in New York, and he had it called War of the Worlds, right? Remember that history part?
I do, yes.
And people got frightened, and jumping out of the windows and panicking, going to the police department and saying, hey, something's happening. But the younger people, I don't think are in that position to be afraid as the people were back.
The positive side of this, Russ. Over the years, with the internet, with more exposure, people are kind of understanding a little bit more. So it's coming more true to them that possibly we are not alone. Going back 50, 60 years, if something showed itself in the sky, there would be mass hysteria. Today, we are getting more accustomed to it. They bring it on the news. They bring it on all the programs. There are many programs. I believe, I really tell people, watch like Star Wars and Star Trek, because although it's fiction, a lot of the truth is coming out. We know, and as far as what I don't know everything about this, But I feel that this is what is really all about.
Have you watched a lot of motion pictures lately that talk about aliens and alien abductions? Have you?
I have
Which
over
one?
the years,
Which
many
one?
of them. I can't think of the
How about
names right now.
Communion?
But you know, so many people, and again, it's very controversial, I know, but so many people disappear. But they come back, and I was listening the other day, and it's not that I'm just turn my TV on and go to a channel and it's coming on. They find the people maybe 10 months or 10 days later in another place. How does this happen? Just open up to the possibility that they're being abducted. They are being brought back. Not everybody, but they're being brought back, and they land somewhere else, not where they were taken.
Okay.
How do we explain that?
Well,
It's
there's
these little subtle things.
Certainly,
you know?
certainly. But there was a movie called Fire in the Sky by the Waltons. He was abducted with about 5 or 6 people in the woods, and there's a movie called Fire in the Sky, and that's a true story. So yeah, he was gone for 5 days, so according to the motion picture, and
Right,
according to the
right.
book. So yeah, but William Tompkins, I don't know. Have you?
Yes, I know. I'm familiar with him.
Okay,
too.
right. Yeah, he's been around since, well, he just left. He was 94 years
yes,
old.
right.
But people who want to do research, they should go to pick up some of his books called Selected by the Extraterrestrials. And he's saying that people have been abducted from the planet and taken to other planets in the universe.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I believe this, Russ. I don't expect everybody that's listening
Right.
to my show to even understand it, but I think it's really important that we do shows. I'm not going to do it all the time on my show, but just for people to open up that there is a lot going on, especially at this particular time, that we're not necessarily aware of, but the proof and the fact that it's happening is out there. So if I can do nothing else other than on this show to people to go and do a little research, as you're saying, and see that we're not alone. The conversation that we're having now
Right.
is happening.
Right.
It's all around us. They have to do it gradually though, because again, as you say, many years ago when something happened, I'm not fully aware of what happened, but there was mass hysteria. We don't want that. We don't want to frighten people. So even if you're listening and you're on the edge and you're not necessarily believing that, and I understand that. It's only over the last 10, 15 years when I also was abducted that I began to understand this. Totally understand that. But my message is to people that are listening to keep an open mind, to do a little research.
Right.
And it's coming out, which I'm very happy about, on mainstream news. So
Absolutely.
I feel that we have a responsibility to make people slightly aware of what is going on.
Most people who are abducted don't remember because the minds are being erased, according to
Right.
all the history and all the books and all the researchers. So, do you remember anything about being abducted
Yeah.
at all?
I do. I wrote a book about it.
Oh, you
I don't
did?
remember everything, but yes, my very first book.
What do you
was my
remember?
first-
What do you
I
remember?
documented what was happening to me.
what?
This was going back maybe about 18, 19 years now. I was taken to many different planets. And at that time, it was really, I'm going to say taboo to even talk about it, but I was documenting everything that happened to me. And it's only over the last 2 or 3 years that I really understood what was happening to me. I wasn't aware of it. I mean, I was aware of what was happening to me, but I didn't realize, I thought, if anybody who's watching my show knows anything about astral projection, which is real, and there's many, many things on that, where you actually fly because we have an astral body. So I thought that was all that was happening to me. But when I go back and I documented everything, I was actually in a spacecraft. That wasn't astral projection. That was me being abducted and going to planets.
Okay. What did the abductors look like?
Like us. They showed
Okay.
themselves very much like us. I didn't see, that's why it took me a while to really understand. But I went to, which is in my book, maybe 3 or 4 different planets, and I saw many things. I saw their homes that were very similar to us. And I'm coming to the latter part of my life, and I mentioned that, but I feel it's really important for me to open up and say, this is what happened to me. I saw these people. I know probably they've erased some of my memory on that,
Probably
and
a
I'm
lot.
very aware of
Probably
that.
a lot.
But I wrote this 18 years ago, where people probably thought this lady is crazy. But I know what happened to me, and I
Okay.
felt that even then I had a responsibility to talk
Well,
about
more and
it.
more people are coming to the fore.
Today, yes.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
speaking
mind
up
somebody.
about
They're
that.
coming
Yeah.
more to the forefront of what actually happened. But please, and my message is please do research on this. There's plenty of things out
Well,
there.
there are a lot of, I would say you can go to Dr. Greer. He has the Disclosure Project that he's been working on for 35 years. So if you Google his name, he has done 2 major documentaries. One was Unacknowledged. 700 million people have watched that. Then the last one he did is The Lost Century. About 1 billion people will watch that. He just finished a big to-do in Washington, D.C. I just want to get back to you and being abducted. And you also had a coach. Do you think he was from another planet?
Yes, I often, and I was just discussing this too, actually, in the studio here, just to let people know, I often bring up Aldo, his name,
Okay.
but people don't understand what he really was. They just know I had somebody. But he coached me from 18 years ago until he passed, which was 2 years ago, about a lot of this.
Right.
But I had to come forward with what I thought before he implanted his suggestions or anything to me to tell me what it was. And it was only actually after he passed that I realized I wasn't only astral projecting, I was being abducted. And I feel that he's still around me. For people that have listened to my show, I talk about Aldo. He came in looking for me. This sounds ridiculous. It sounds like a movie that is like not true, but everything that he has told me has come about, and I believe that he's still with me. I do believe truthfully that he's still with me and wanting me to talk about this. I think it's very important.
Why did he come into your life? Do you have an idea?
Well, yes, because I was having, quote, many things happen, not just my abductions. I was suddenly able to paint from a message that I got, and I had a dream, which I thought, and he came in the next day and met me and told me everything that he had been talking about in my dream, to go and get some crayons and start painting. So this is what happened. This is going back 18 years ago. You can't, and I feel like I also have, talking on my show, I can't give everything all at once. Our mind won't take it. But I've had 19 years of understanding this. And I honestly feel, and I don't often talk about this personally, but I feel that I have an obligation to talk about this today. I want to come forward with it. For the people that don't understand it, that's all right.
What specific message did he have for you to disclose to the world?
So many. Russ,
right.
he knew me from other lifetimes. That would be a whole different show. But I feel right now what is important, that I talk about the coming forward with anybody out there in the audience that has something that they don't understand, or has had people contact them maybe from another planet, let's say, because they are from other planets. We're not alone here. There are many, many planets around. Please call in or ask me questions. I'm here happy to answer any of the questions.
So what you said a few minutes ago would indicate that you have been born again. I mean, that you have been incarnated in a number of bodies. You said you were...
Well, yes.
He met you from a previous life?
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing that up,
Right.
because it's hard for me to, if people haven't been following my show. Obviously, I am a believer in reincarnation.
Okay.
But just like many people that are listening, many years ago, I did not believe in reincarnation. But when all this happened to me, I started doing drawings, because they gave me a message to start drawing. But I was stubborn, and I still didn't completely open up. But I was drawing things from other lifetimes. I was drawing things from centuries ago. I was drawing the signs and symbols of from the Renaissance Center, Renaissance period. I wasn't aware of that, because I really wasn't into history like I am today. How does someone, and I'm not special, I just tapped into it, draw signs and symbols from the 15th century that I actually have never seen, but here I'm drawing it, drawing things that were that people knew about. I didn't, as far as I knew. So he told me, go into the internet. He was here to guide me, not just to take his word, which was very important to me today, but to go in and do the research on the internet to see some of my drawings that coincided with what I had been drawing that was right there on the internet.
Who did he say you were?
Well, that, okay. And I have another member of my tribe, so to speak, in the audience here. I was around in the Renaissance period, but I don't know if I'm actually ready to talk about who I was.
Oh, is that right?
Well, yeah, because
Well, surprise
I was
us.
an influential person
Surprise
into what
us.
was going on at that particular time in the Renaissance period. And I have a couple of people in the audience
Oh,
here.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, dear. Okay. All right.
Maybe one of them are calling you.
They're calling me now from the
I'm
15th
sorry.
century. That's okay.
Apologize.
Okay. But I was around at that period, and I may not, and I'm sure people are saying, oh, yes, she can say who she was. I may not have even believed it if I hadn't been drawing from that time.
I see.
It was a certain people that were pretty well known at that time, and I was drawing their coat of arms, which
see.
I had never seen. And here I'm drawing it, and he tells me to go in and have a look.
All right. So let's assume that's true. I mean, that how many other times do you think you have incarnated here on the earth?
Many, many times.
Is
That
that
was
right?
a very relevant lifestyle because I'd learned a lot of what I'm talking about now, and I had left it dormant, so it came back. But I believe, and any of our listeners here, I believe that we've been back many, many times.
Is that
Again,
right?
that's another show, but yes, absolutely. I was not a believer,
But
and I was very stubborn.
Most religions don't preach that
Yeah,
at
well,
this time.
that's
at this
another
time.
story too. And I
Okay.
don't particularly also go, there's certain things that, I feel that I may offend people if I talk about it. If there's somebody listening that's very religious, that's fine. What I will say, belief is very important. Just believe. If you follow a religion, that's okay. Just believe that there is more. Believe a lot of things that are going on that we're not making up. It has been handed down. I was not brought up in particularly any religion. I'm Jewish, but I never really followed my religion.
Right.
But if you look into the Bible, there are messages. Again, I call it organized religion, but again, I don't want to offend my audience. Believe what you want to. But there are clues in the Bible that people came down from another planet. I only
see.
found that out when my friend Aldo told me.
Like-
The Nephilim. I knew
Nephilim,
nothing. I
yeah.
did not do Bible studies, but they came down. They call them the sky gods. I've
Okay,
heard
okay.
that written many times. So my take on that is, yes, they have come down to help us.
Yeah, in Genesis, it does mention the gods came down and married the women and had children and had families, if you will.
Yeah,
It does
and
mention
I'm
that.
glad you brought that up because that is a topic actually to talk about a little bit. Because yes, they did come down. They had children here.
Right.
And if you go into, there's a book called Genesis Revisited. And I think that's an important book for people to look at because if you start to understand, as I have over the years, that they came down and they had children with us, it's actually, I believe, in Genesis. I'm not too familiar with it, but there are tablets written of what happened,
course.
actually. They wrote on tablets many, many years ago of what was going on. So let me open up a little bit maybe to the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a question. Someone
Okay.
wrote in. Linda is watching, but Lopo wrote in. Hey, Sally. So the past couple of weeks, everything has been all over the place. Do my guides have anything to say of what I should do, my love or career?
Okay, my answer to that is yes, you're at a crossroads right now. I don't have to know necessarily the messages that they're giving me, but what I feel that they're giving you, that you're getting one side of people are giving you one message, and on the other side, they're giving you another message. So it's up to you to interpret it. But again, and I often talk about go with your gut feeling, go with the messages that are comfortable. I believe that you know and you can do this. So thank you for calling in. But my answer is go with the first message that you feel comfortable with. They're kind of, it's like they're arguing with each other, your guys. One's saying you should go one way and one goes the other way. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but you're on the phone. If you can answer that, if that's making any sense to you, perhaps you can answer. Or
They wrote in, so we'll see what they say.
okay,
What it
but
means
I
on the
feel
phone.
that go with the one that feels more comfortable with you. You're getting you're actually getting mixed messages. That's what I'm feeling. Because they play with us too.
So I have a question for you. since you've been in the studio, I've had doors opening. I've got Russ walks in, the front door flies open, doors are opening. What is the message that we are meant to receive?
Welcome to the Brooklyn Cafe. And let's welcome the spirits, because they're definitely around us. How can that be coincidence, Dawn? We know that. There's a door up there, and when I walk in, or maybe just before, it will open. So they're with us, and they're guiding us. And I feel that that's exactly what's happening in the studio here, yes.
Hey, Sally. How's it going?
Hi, Josh.
Sorry. I remember Russ was talking about in certain movies they have they display things, and I just wanted to know if movies and animations and all those stuff, are they just ways to tell us what's going on without, like, you know, blasting it on the news and scaring everyone, I guess?
True.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement here. They're doing disclosure, but, you know, they can't say that this is disclosure. So what we hear as fiction probably is real, but they can't basically come out with it for the people that want. There are people that want this hidden, absolutely, as you agree with me, Russ, right?
Yeah.
But for the ones that are wanting to disclose it, what is the best way to do this? To do it in movies, so we're becoming more and more aware of what's going on.
Yeah, they've been very successful for many, many years. I mean, the E.T., come on, we can go back, way back when War of the Worlds, you're
Right.
talking about
And the Matrix.
Matrix,
also, right.
Communion is another one that, you know, people need to watch and pay attention to. I would tell people, if they want to know about the Men in Black and look at that, that's a real part of it. And you can look at another motion picture called The Fourth Kind that happened in Nome, Alaska, of an abduction. But that's a real great motion picture to watch. And then I would say, watch one with Anthony Hopkins. The Hearts in Atlantis is a good one for them to watch, about an ability to do remote viewing as well as telepathy. So they put all that in motion pictures so people are aware that the possibilities exist that we can do all those things.
Okay. And then do you think a lot of movies nowadays are becoming more desensitized, or trying to desensitize us to, like, you see a lot of, like, murders and these horrific things happening more on, like, kids' movies nowadays, or, like, Marvel movies, which are supposed to be family-friendly movies, you know?
Yeah, that's what's happening too. I mean, there's good and bad to this, because the more you see of things, if it's something like that, we do get that feeling like it's not the way it was 10, 15 years ago. So when we hear something, and a very good example, unfortunately, is school shootings. You know, unfortunately, if they say, well, they only killed, which is terrible, I don't even want to talk about it, 2 children, it's not like 20. So we're becoming more accustomed to this. We need to get away from this. We need to, I mean, what they need to talk about is the UFOs and things that are happening. But the more they show it, it can have good and bad results to that. You know, we become like...
So do you think, like, instead of Marvel came out with a new show called Secret Invasions, and these alien life forms hide themselves as human beings. Do you think instead of showcasing stuff like this as a cinematic or artistic interpretation, they should actually just let it out there for everyone to know?
It's hard to know. You know, it's hard to give an answer to that. I believe that they should put this out there. It's important, but we don't want to kind of take it for, we have to examine it more. We have to do research on this. So because I believe that each one of us has some feeling that when like The Matrix was a great success. These movies, because we don't know, Inception is another one. They're hits at the box office, but people don't know why. They're because they can remember, but they don't. I've thought about this. There's something in each one of us, if we've been back many times, that will remember this. So when these movies come out, they don't understand it, but they're hits because people want to hear this.
Yeah, maybe on like a spiritual level, they can feel that connection.
They can relate somewhere.
But their mind is not open enough yet to actually realize why.
Exactly. Because why? I mean, there are many Matrix, I think. 1, 2, 3, there's 4. Inception had a great impact on me. I don't know if anybody, I know that you had seen it, Steve. It's a dream within a dream. This is, quote, what we call real. We don't know why we like it, but we like it.
Yeah.
Because somewhere it's opening something up in our mind and our brain. And I've thought very much about this over the last few months, actually. It's not just me or you, anyone in the studio. People say, well, you know, I am enjoying it. There's a reason. It's enlightening us.
I think over the years, movie productions have confused people because many of them have depicted alien life as hostile beings, like The Day the Earth Stood Still or Independence Day. And then you have the ones that depict them as friendly and loving, like E.T. What's the one with Richard Dreyfuss? I can't remember the name of it.
Children of a Lesser God?
No.
Oh, that
No,
was a great-
Alien Encounters or Encounters, something, Encounters of the Lesser Kind or something.
No, Encounters of the...
What's that called? Something like that.
Yeah. Well, you know, there are many species of aliens. I mean, right now, you're talking about the Greys and the Reptilians and the Nordics and the Blue Avians. Well, anyway, it goes on and on. On the planet right now, according to researchers, you have at least 15 or 20 species, at least, maybe more, and that's conservative. And when you talked about aliens taking the form of a human body, well, the reptilians are known throughout history to be shape shifters. So they can look like a reptilian and they can look like a human being. So that's real. So we got to start doing research about all of this. One of the motion pictures I would tell people to watch if they can get it, of course you can go to Amazon and get the box set. It's called Taken by Steven Spielberg. It's a 13-hour mini-series that he did about 15, 20 years ago. 99% of that information in that motion picture was true. But it's a nice picture. I mean, if you want to watch history in terms of Roswell and all that, because it started when that Roswell, 1947, July of 1947, it started about that crash in Roswell, and some aliens were killed, but one escaped, and it goes on for 13 hours talking about his life on Earth as an alien taking the form of the human body. So it's trying to inform us and guide us and direct us and give us some information about what is really happening in the universe. Because as Tompkins says, most of us have been lied to most of our lives in terms of economy, in terms of religion, in terms of spirituality. We've been lied to. So if you go to his books, selected by extraterrestrials, he has 3 volumes, 1, 2, and 3, he spells it all out. And he worked with aliens from 1942, correction, about 1938, all the way until he died a couple years ago at 94 years old. He was part of working with the Nordics, the aliens, and I don't want to get into all of that, but you know.
No, I'm delighted that we're doing this show, Russ.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you about Antarctica.
Okay.
What's in Antarctica?
A lot of what they call, it's top secret.
Okay,
It's
okay.
But it is available, some of this knowledge, which I have read too,
Right.
apart from hearing about
Sure.
it too, is that it is on Gaia. In Antarctica, as far as I know, and again, I'm not here to tell you exactly what's going on, I'm not there,
Sure.
but only from messages that I have received. There's a lot of things, as far as I know, going
Okay.
there. There are many different countries there. And for anybody that's listening, that is interested, I would say do research on that, because it is on the internet. But you've got to know what to look for.
Right.
There's a lot of things going on there.
Right.
As far as I know, there are many countries in Antarctica.
One suggestion I have is there's a book called Antarctica's Hidden Secret.
There we go.
And that's by Michael Seller, a prolific researcher. And he'll spell out what's happening in Antarctica. I mean, and you can even Google, because he does exopolitics, that's his podcast, and he spells this all out. This is really a serious piece of information that people need to know about.
I think so, and I
Yeah.
think shows like I'm doing, and we don't do it every week,
Sure.
and I have other topics, obviously,
Sure.
that we talk about, but I believe it's really important to put this in the forefront today. I feel like, in a way, an obligation to do this, and we're doing what we're meant to be doing. It's an open forum here, so anybody else in the studio that might want to ask something for either myself or us, please, or anybody that's calling in, Dawn, is there any other questions?
Lopo said, wow, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you want to take a commercial break?
Yes, okay, we can do that. I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. We're on the other side with UFOs. This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybernard.com today. Now, back to the show. Well, welcome back. I'm ready for questions, and so is Russ. So either one of us, please
No, you
call
take
in.
it. You
Well,
take
I'll
it.
take. Well, you can. I'll pass them on to you.
I'm
too.
asking questions.
Okay, you're asking questions. Russ is asking questions, and anyone in the studio audience here, please feel free to ask me anything. We will do our best to answer.
All right. Well, Russ started to ask you a question earlier
Okay.
about what did your abductors look like, and I wanted to take that a step further.
Okay.
You've mentioned that you've been abducted numerous times. Could you share with us what might have been your most interesting abduction, what went on, what the experience was?
Yes. Thank you for that, because I do have one that sticks out in my mind. 2, actually. The first one was when they took me, and I think I have mentioned this before, but they took me to a planet. I'm not sure where it was. And I was told that this was all very top secret. I'll never forget that. I see every detail of this. And they weren't sure whether they're going to be allowing me to go onto their planet. We arrived on the planet, and they said they couldn't necessarily bring me around to show me what was going on. I had to have a certain card. I thought, this is really strange. I mean, I didn't know what was going on, but I'm there. It looked like a credit card, but apparently they allowed me in. So when I got in there, to me it was absolutely fascinating what I saw. They allowed me in with I had 2 guides with me that had brought me there. But it was a lot of equipment and what we would look like electricity lines up in around. But what it was, there was a lot of static, but they were trying to show me what they were doing there. And from everything that I know now, and of course this was many years ago, so AI was not prevalent here on Earth at that point, but they were trying to show me what they were doing with AI. I realize today, because it's becoming a topic here. So they were showing me all the things that were going on, how they were building AI themselves, but they were very much advanced. So a lot of the people walking there is what they are actually now talking about on our planet. And I see it, and they're telling me is what they were doing there. So some of the people that I was meeting, but I had no idea 18 years ago what this was about, were AI. They were actually showing me their people that were robots that were AI. I thought they were just regular people. So now I'm seeing that at that time it was really top secret, but it's coming so clear to me now that the message that they were giving me all those years back is what now is happening here on Earth. So I opened up to that, but I had no way of really understanding that. But the more I hear about where we're going with AI and what they're able to do, it's beginning to make even more sense of what they were showing me there. It was very top secret, and unfortunately there was a lot of static, whether that was from them not wanting me to know or from another source. But I got basically what we'd say a picture of what was going on.
Okay. So that was one. Then you said there was another incident.
There was another one. Yes, there was another. None of these were frightening episodes.
Okay.
I went to many different planets. I saw many things. They even offered me fruit and things they told me to eat that were very good for me. But my very last one at that particular time that I had, they showed me a very, very big spaceship. I was going on a smaller spaceship that held maybe 4 or 5 people. It wasn't big, it was long. But there was a very big round one that stands out in my memory. And there were a lot of people coming onto this ship. And for some reason, I never got scared through the whole thing, but I feel it's worth bringing up because they were trying to take me onto something that I felt that I wasn't aware of, that I didn't feel comfortable, and I didn't go. Why am I saying this? Because most of everything I had was very positive, but I need to bring this up. Not everyone is positive. I would say 80% of what I experienced was, but there is still people that I'm going to say play games with us. My intuition at that point, although I was there, I did not go onto that spaceship. I know this sounds science fiction, it probably sounds ridiculous, but I followed even then my intuition. Although I was out there, I knew not to do that. So, but my message is they are friendly. The majority of them are friendly, from what I experienced.
It's estimated that about 8 million people have been abducted alone right here in the United States. Now, however, many of whom, probably 99.99%, can't remember anything because they erased your memory, right?
Okay, I can say that too because I don't know what I don't remember.
Okay.
After that, there was a very long period that I don't recall anything, and I was going 3 times a week for nearly a year, and then nothing.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I wasn't going, Russ, and I'm glad that you brought that up. They probably wiped my memory.
Right. Oh, yeah, easy. That's easy.
Absolutely. So that can happen too. We're not aware. I am going to go to make myself even, that people will believe me, more credibility. I know what happened to me. I want to be hypnotized. Anybody out there, just let me say, in case there's a member in the audience that may do hypnosis into this type of thing or know someone, please send me a message and let me know, because I'm more than willing to have research done on me. I want that. So anybody out there, please let me know.
Well, in every state there's a UFO society called MUFON.
So maybe
in
that
every state, in every country, there's a MUFON society. So it's a matter of contacting those kind of people who are researchers and been researching this for a number of years.
Right,
Yeah.
and because I don't expect everybody to believe what's happening to me, but if I can have the research done on me, hypnosis, anything, I'm more than willing. I know what happened to me.
Right.
And somebody can send that message to callmezena1111@gmail.com.
Thank you, Steve. Yes.
Excellent. You know, the biggest abduction case, I mean, there are a lot of them, but one of the big ones happened in 1960, Betty and Barney Hill, and that was incident at Exeter. They made it a motion picture. Why did they kind of put that in the limelight? It was, as a matter of fact, if you go back in history and look at the Life magazine, they were on the front cover of Life magazine back in 1961, Betty and Barney Hill. Why did they promote that so much?
They wanted to come out with it just the same way that I want to. I want people to know. But it was more controversial then. Many people, they came forward because it happened to them, and that's a great story, and people can look that up on the internet and read their story. But I believe they were one of the first in the beginning. There were other people that came out into the general public. They made it known. It was in the newspapers. That was an amazing story.
Yeah, they made it a big story for some reason.
Yes, that was an amazing story. So let me see if there's anybody.
And
I'm sorry, Ross.
And Roswell was a big story. 1947.
Right. Well, didn't they show, I think about 15 years ago, where they had one of these had crashed, and they had some. I remember I had not had this happen. Well, it was longer than 20 years ago, but I was so interested. They actually had the body of an alien, right?
You mentioned that most of your abduction experiences were positive, and then there's one that you have told me about that I believe is also positive, and that's when you woke up and somebody was working on you.
Yes.
Could you describe that?
Yes, I woke up actually. Well, I was awake obviously in my others, but I don't. To me, I woke up in my bedroom at home. I knew where I was, and I was on a table, and they were absolutely working on me. And this lady said to me, "Don't be scared," and she kind of at that point put me back to sleep into the position, you know, how I was with my when I was seeing everything. But she was working very much on me.
But do you have any notion of what she was working on?
I want to be hypnotized, truthfully, to find out exactly. I have a feeling. I mean, if I'm very quiet about my age, but I think she was working on me to make me go back a little bit in my age. I feel that. That's what they're telling me. She was working on features, like if you were to have a facelift, basically, that's what I felt like that's what she was doing. But I would like to have that verified. Okay.
And I thank her.
Well, there is a program now, if you want to do some research, called 20 and Back,
Yes.
right? Where they take you, put you on Mars, Jupiter, whatever, put you in the Secret Space Force,
Yes, yes.
and you work, and then they bring you back 20 years.
Which I know you're very quiet about this, but when I met you, I said, and I had just, and this is worth talking about, actually.
I say, okay.
They bring you back, you're 20 years younger.
True.
Because you, okay, when I met you, I had just talked to Steve about this. I said, I think maybe I went to 20 and back. The next week I met you, and I said, oh my God, you went to 20 and back. I don't know, though. We have no proof on this.
But no, but you know, but
You do not look your age.
Well, okay, fine. But there's a concept. So people who want to do research, just Google it, 20 and back, and do your
very
research.
interesting.
Because people are talking about that, and there are books out there that talk about that.
That's a whole, obviously, and
then,
not one show. It would be about 7 shows.
Oh,
right?
at least. And then there's the med bed and the celestial chamber, and on and on.
And all this came to me at the same time, the 20 and back, the med bed. It was like they're trying, as with you too, to impart this knowledge to the general public.
Well, I'll tell you what, I just want to share this with you, because a lot of discussion is around the med bed, especially now. People think it's coming to the planet. But Sky Prince, she's excellent. She's a nurse, and she was with the Secret Space Force on Mars and other places, and she talks about the med bed. So if you want to just Sky, S-K-Y-E, Prince, P-R-I-N-C, Google her and listen to what she's talking about the med bed. Tons and tons of information, many hours.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because I'm not, as you know, a hands-on person to bring this literature, but you do, and it's so very important. I just rely on my collective to give me messages, but what you're doing is very important for people to do.
People need to know it's coming. It's here. So, any other questions?
Any other questions?
Well, yes. I guess a question or a statement. If they're coming, and they must want us to know, because they continue to come
coming. No, they're here. They've been here.
And be seen. Why do they want us to know? What is the message?
Because they're here. We are the aliens. We're the experiments. If you go back in history and look at Zachariah Sitchin, a prolific writer, he wrote a book called The 12th Planet, and he's saying that the Anunnaki made us 400,000 years ago. We are an experiment. So you can take over.
Actually, there are many amongst us that we are them. I felt like I wanted to say that. People that, and I think that's a great topic of what you had just said.
That's a big subject.
Because actually it's all written on tablets. That's the most incredible, what Russ is talking about. They came here, and that's great. All we need to do, I believe it's in the British Museum, these tablets that they wrote exactly what was happening. People don't want to read it or see it or even go and look at it.
It's been hidden. We've been lied to. Yeah. As William Tompkins says, we've been lied to. Yeah.
But I think now is the time for the exposure.
So do you think they offer a better way of life, a more community-based or a more positive way of life than we've become?
Well, I actually have the answer, I believe, to that too. I think it's a lot to do with technology. We have over the last 50 years. Look how far we've come. I listen, and I very rarely turn, if it's the news, I'll listen in the morning, but today I happen to put on, because it's very interesting, Ancient Aliens on the History Station. I put it on today, and it was all about just what we're talking about, how they have tried to give us information. Many people, like Steve Jobs, the guy with the iPhone, Steve Jobs, right? They were talking about him. He's not here, so I can't, but I know what they were saying, that they are given so much information to bring this technology forward. If you talked 50 years ago about something that would be in your hand, that you could make phone calls from, that you could look up all this information, it's only taken 50 years. That's not long for that to come out. They're imparting their information, they're giving us information to the people that they know that will be able to put that into action here on Earth right now. We have advanced tremendously, and within the next 50 years, I think this is their main reason for helping us. Do you feel the same? We have 5 more minutes.
5 minutes. Quickly, I would say if you want to look at that history, go to the book The Day After Roswell by Philip Corsico. And he talks about all of that, which I'm back engineering and all that. So
Right.
So
do you feel the same as me, that they're here basically
They've been here.
to help this planet, to
well,
help
yeah, they
us,
want to save the planet because we're destroying the planet.
but also to give us this technology, because
Well, they gave us.
but there's many more. There's so much more, right?
So much. Yeah. If you go to The Lost Century, which is a documentary by Dr. Stephen Greer,
Okay.
it's about 2 hours. He lays it all out. I mean, it's awesome. He gives you the reason why it's been hidden and the reason why it should be disclosed. So that's it. I'll just go that. It's excellent. It's excellent. About 1 billion people will be watching that.
So why is it like certain people now that can do these things is not, and look how far just look at where we've come from 50 years ago. We're getting help from the people that are advanced, that are now giving this to us, which now is AI.
And if
Good and
anybody,
bad.
if anybody can look at the Egyptian civilization, the Mayan, the Aztec civilizations,
Excellent.
and not question how that is
Excellent.
possible without help from beyond.
Absolutely, absolutely, and
So when do you think this information will be out? Instead of it being like disclosed information, will we be guaranteed this knowledge in our lifetimes?
I think so, Josh, because more and more is coming out, more and more. If just you don't have to go into programs like Gaia, which you have to subscribe
good.
to, but just go onto the History Station, which I've been listening to in the last few days, Ancient Aliens. That comes forward with all this, everything. I think we're closing down now. We've got 2 more minutes. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I hope that this was very informative. Thank you for being my guest, Russ.
Oh,
Thank
no,
you,
no, it's fine.
Steve, for
Yeah,
showing
yeah,
up.
right.
Thank you, Dawn.
Sure,
Thank you,
sure.
Josh.
And
But-
people can reach you, Sally, for more information at callmezena1111 at
At
gmail.com or all over social media,
Yes.
LinkedIn,
Yes,
Facebook,
we're all
Instagram,
over there now,
Call
right?
Me Zena.
Right, right.
And Russ, how can people find out more about what you're doing?
Lights in the Night, lights plural in the night.org, or simply you can go to UFObase211.com.
Well, there are no coincidences, right? As people bring us all together.
Absolutely. I mean, this was there are not a lot of people in the studio, but the right people were in the studio, right? Thank
Closing
you.
remarks?
Thank you, everybody. Please tune in next week. Please get your friends and to call in and ask us questions. If you like this topic, please let us know. We can continue another time. Thank you. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.